Shalom, brothers and sisters. This is Yahuda ben Israel. It's been a while since I've uploaded a video. I want to say the important things at the beginning of these videos. I found that that's what I need to do, because a lot of people don't watch the whole video, and that's true with most videos. People just don't watch the whole thing, even though my videos are pretty short. So first I want to say that before you comment on my videos, you might want to go ask your elders, some of you, especially on this video, because I know it hits home with a lot of you. You know, it makes you a little angry. So that's the first thing. You might want to go ask your elders first. The second thing, on this video, I'm going to talk about the effect of jealousy on a group of people, on in particular our people. And I already talked about how it applies in warfare and unit cohesion on another video that that's on this channel. So what I want to say is, first of all, the only way to overcome that fear and that jealousy, what I want to say is, in order to overcome that fear and that jealousy, is to have faith in Yah's commandments and His ways. And the only way to do that is to actually understand them. And the only way to do that is to meditate on them. So that's something that I want to put at the beginning of this video. A couple of things I want to put at the beginning of this video. Now, I don't have anything written down as far as what I say on this subject, because talking about spiritual things, which is going to be the focus of this video, and talking about the effects of jealousy, I said I wouldn't do it that much, because Hebrew Israelites have a habit of, when it comes to spiritual things, sounding after a while like Babylonians. I don't mean no harm, but they just do. But I think I can do this, and because, you know, Yah has given me the gift to keep brothers and sisters out in the atmosphere and bring them back down here to planet Earth where they belong. So what I want to do in the beginning of this video, talking about the effects of jealousy on my people, is first say I want to apologize. Yes, I want to apologize. I want to apologize for saying that Hebrew Israelites sound like a bunch of theologians. Oh, I am so sorry for saying that. I really am. I'm going to read something. And for those of you that don't know what, well, a long time ago, when I first got into this word, I know somebody who decided to go to theology school. And I was shocked at how their curriculum for what they were trying to get in theology school matched with a lot of the things that I was learning at the Israelite camp I was at. It shocked me. So let me read to you something from a school called ITC. It's here in Atlanta, Georgia. It's called the Interdenominational Theological Center. It's where people go to get their degree in Christian education and their degree in divinity, so that they can be pastors and preachers and things of that nature. In the secular world, in the world that we, because of our jealousy, spend most of our time going up against. And this is for the MA and CE program learning outcomes. That's the Masters in Arts in Christian Education. And it says, and this is off of their website, by the completing the core courses for the Master of Arts in Christian Education, students will: 1. Define and describe biblical, theological, philosophical, historical, socio-cultural, and psychological tenets that undergird the socio-cultural experiences of the African diaspora as they relate to the concrete practices of teaching learning. Now, this is the third time I think I've read this. And I only had to look one word up. But if I get the definition of any of these words wrong, let me know. But I'm going to break down what I just read. It says define and describe biblical. Of course, that means having to do with the Bible. Theological. Of course, that has to do with the different theories of different religions. Philosophical. In this definition of this, that means searching for the truth. Historical. Well, that speaks for itself. Learning about the history. Sociocultural. That basically means how people relate to each other in a particular group. And psychological. Well, we use that term. We like to say spiritual, emotional. Tenets, beliefs, teachings that undergird the socio-cultural, again, how people relate to each other, live with each other, and deal with each other in a particular group. Experiences of the African diaspora. Now, here's the word I'm going to change. We like to use the term Israelite diaspora, because this in particular is where most of our people go to, or a lot of our people go to get their degrees in theology, out of theology degrees. So I'm going to use Israelite here. Or in particular, you know what? Since it says African diaspora, I'm going to tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to use the house of Judah to be even more specific. When I say that, I mean Judah, Benjamin, and Levi. As they relate to the concrete practices of teaching, learning. As they relate to the concrete practices of teaching and learning. Okay, interesting. And this is the second thing. Demonstrate the capacity to implement teaching, learning practices that reflect denominational traditions, religious heritages, and a liberating and transforming spirituality. Okay, let me translate that for y'all. Demonstrate the capacity to implement teaching and learning practices. In other words, be able to, well, I'm not going to use the big words that they use, like, well, that means being able to teach some classes that reflect the denominational traditions. We would call that camps. Religious heritages, well, we would call that the beliefs of those camps and the different guys, like for instance, the different type of Hebrew that they talk. And a liberating, and well, let me rephrase that. Let me be even more specific with that. When it says religious heritages, that would be more like what days they keep the Sabbath day on. What days do they keep the high holy days on? That would be more religious heritages. And a liberating and transforming spirituality. Oh, depending on if you're Messianic or non-Messianic, this could mean different things. But if you're Messianic, this means you focus a lot of your energy talking about forgiveness, love your enemy, turn the other cheek, and things of that nature. If you're Messianic, non-Messianic, it probably focuses more on wisdom and actually learning the law, and trying to get something out of the law. And the third thing, employ oral and ocular worldviews to illustrate, compare, contrast, and critique the various theories supporting core courses. Now, I'm going to break that down. Employ oral and ocular. Ocular was the only word I had to look up here, but right before I looked it up, I said, wait a minute, that means the eye. So that means employing sound and what people see, worldviews, to illustrate, compare, contrast, and critique. That means using posters like Caesar Borgia. That means oral means different sayings that people might have. Like Christians, and when they say, for God so loved the world, he gave his only begotten son, that whosoever shall believe in him shall have everlasting life. And as Hebrew Israelites, we like to throw that quote out there and say, and break the quote down. That's what that means. To illustrate, compare, contrast, and critique the various theories supporting core courses, core teachings. The fourth thing, research, design, and administer curriculums that relate oral and ocular worldviews as operative in contemporary communities of the African diaspora. In other words, you know how Hebrew Israelites love to do their research, design, and administer curriculums. In other words, put together classes. And you moved up in the Hebrew Israelite camp when you were able to put together a class that relate oral and ocular worldviews, again, what people see and hear, so that they can relate to what you're teaching them, as operative in contemporary communities of the African diaspora. Okay. That means as operative in contemporary to the communities today of the house of Judah. So in other words, like I said, I was wrong. And I again want to apologize for saying that brothers and sisters sound like a bunch of theologians. Y'all don't. Your elders do, and I'll get to that in a minute. But most of you sound like you're working on getting your master's degree, your master's of arts in Hebrew Israelite education. Now, for some of you, well, that's an important thing. Let me say that. It is important. But there's a problem. That's not your priority. And if it did become your priority, then you need to tell me when that happened. Now, some of you right now are, because you spend so much time in the highways and the byways, and you spend so much time teaching classes and putting in your work. You're mad at me right now for saying that, and you're saying, yes, it is. And you're forgetting what the scripture tells you your priority is. Come on now. Think about it. Meditate on it for a second. What is your priority as an Israelite? Oh, that's right. To love Yah and to keep His commandments. That's right. So, in this focus on having your master's degree in Israelite education, most of y'all spend 90% of your time working on and implementing your degree and master's in Israelite education, and only 5 to 10% of your time actually meditating on and understanding Yah's law and His commandments. Oh, there's no doubt about that. And that is where the jealousy comes in. See, jealousy is a very, very powerful spirit. And it encompasses a lot of other things like envy, lust, anger. Oh yeah, jealousy is the rage of a man. Let's not forget about that rage. And all of those things cause you to be distracted and cause you to lose focus and cause you to make huge mistakes. That's just what it does. It's not something to carry around with you. When you carry it around with you, you spend more time trying to compete with people who you really don't have to compete with. Let me explain. If you actually spent 90 to 95% of your time understanding Yah's laws, understanding His commandments, statutes, judgments, then they would not even be able to touch you with a 50-foot pole. You would be on a whole nother, I'm not going to use the term battlefield, even though I should, but this is YouTube, so I need to be careful. And I say that because of the video that I've already posted, using the law to explain the effects of jealousy on the camp. But you will be on a whole nother playing field, one that they could not even play on. And if you spent 90 to 95% of your time on that playing field, on dealing with Yah's laws and His commandments and bringing that wisdom, which the scripture told you the nations would look and say, wow, look at what they're doing. We want to do what they're doing. And you spent 5% of your time working on your master's degree in Israelite education, well, you would still demolish them. You would really demolish them. They wouldn't stand a chance. But because you're being driven by jealousy, well, you sit there and you argue back and forth with these people about their beliefs. That's what most of you do most of your time. And it's a pathetic thing to watch after a period of time. Now, what has it gotten you? I mean, honestly. And in particular right now, I'm going to talk to those who do have their doctorate degree in Israelite theology, our theologians, our elders, and our priests who are in charge of these different camps and congregations out here. And I'm saying this and I'm pleading with you. I have not used any foul language. I don't think I usually do. I don't think I've used any foul language. I've been pretty calm and cool and collected in this video. So I'm pleading with the elders out there. I'm pleading with you. I'm doing this how it's supposed to be done. And that goes for all of the elders, no matter what kind you are out there. I'm not even going to join you. I'm not even going to do it. I'm going to plead with you because you are the ones who are leading this charge. You are the ones who also over a period of time have understood the importance of dealing with your anger, dealing with your jealousy. Y'all pretty much know what it is because of the effects of what's happened. When I say where has it gotten you, look at your camps. Look at how they fall apart after a period of time, how they just break apart. That's what jealousy brings. You know, like I said, I talked about that in the video when I talked about warfare and unit cohesion. Jealousy breaks apart camps. That's what it does. Part of what it does. It breaks apart camps. Look at what happens when brothers and sisters try to get out there and really act as a nation of people. Because they spent most of their time working on their master's degrees in Israelite education, they have no idea how to be nation builders. They have no idea about the importance of the husband and the wife in the nation and about their different priorities and jobs. You know, I posted videos about that on this YouTube channel. They have no understanding about the importance of how to deal with their children. None. Because most of the time has been spent working on their degree, their master's degree in Israelite education. So hopefully with this plea to my elders and to my brothers and my sisters, my elders with their doctorate degree in Israelite theology and education, and hopefully with my plea to my brothers and sisters out there who spend most of their time, 95% of their time to 90% of their time, working on their master's degree in Israelite education, you have your priorities jacked up. They're backwards. They are. Hopefully you all begin to understand the importance of dealing with this jealousy by understanding Yah's law. That builds your faith. And that is the thing that you're supposed to have faith in, is in Yah's law, in his commandments. Not in your ability to regurgitate facts, historical facts, biblical, theological, philosophical, historical, socio-cultural, and psychological tenets. That's not what you're supposed to have your faith in. Big mistake. But like I said, that's what jealousy drives you to do. So hopefully you all got something out of this video. If you're not, you don't consider yourself a Hebrew Israelite, and you're looking at this video and you're just consider yourself a black person, African American, anything like that, now you understand why our people cannot stick together. Right. It's not just the games that are played by the other nations. It's their own jealousy. If you are or do consider yourself an Israelite or a Hebrew Israelite, I hope you got something out of this. Now I'm going to read this scripture. And this is Genesis. And it is Genesis chapter 32, verse 24. Before I read this, you all will understand why I love to use the word Israelite as much as I possibly can. Verse 24. And Jacob was left alone, and there wrestled a man with him until the breaking of the day. And when he saw that he prevailed not against him, he touched the hollow of his thigh, and the hollow of Jacob's thigh was out of joint as he wrestled with him. Verse 26. And he said, Let me go, for the day breaketh. And he said, I will not let thee go, except thou bless me. Bless him. kind of man is this Jacob is wrestling with? Verse 27. And he said unto him, What is thy name? And he said, Jacob. And he said, Thy name shall call no more Jacob, but Israel. For as a prince hast thou power with God and with men, and hast prevailed. Verse 29. And Jacob asked him and said, Tell me, I pray thee, thy name. Oh, y'all know what that means. Don't be building up no idols to anybody now. And he said, Wherefore is that thou dost ask after my name? And he blessed him there. In other words, don't worry about it, buddy. Verse 30. And Jacob called the name of the place Peniel, for I have seen God face to face, and my life is preserved. Now, let me read this verse again. Verse 28. And he said, Thy name shall be called no more Jacob, but Israel. For as a prince hast thou power with Yah and with men, and hast prevailed. For those of you who consider yourselves Hebrew Israelites out there, you've forgotten how you got your name, Israel. That name, Israel. You've completely forgotten that. If you remember and know how you got your name and meditate on how you got your name, see, we have no problem wrestling with angels. We have no problem wrestling with spirits. Even though we may get our thigh taken out of joint. In other words, even though our Creator, our Holy Father, may knock us upside our head, we still wrestle with angels. We still wrestle with spirits. So to not wrestle with the jealous spirit and to use excuses like you're cursed and all these other things which are excuses is BS. I still didn't use foul language. I just said BS. It's what we were made to do. It's who we are. Bottom line. Now, there were those who understood that, like David, Samson, brothers like that got that. And hopefully when you all read this scripture again, you'll remember that you were made to wrestle with spirits. This is what you do. It's part of the process. And even though you may get slapped upside your hand by your Holy Father, that's also part of the process too. But you don't stop. Like our fathers did before, like our father did before us. The father of our nation, he didn't stop till he was blessed. Shalom.